anticipation of the Jounen Kwéyòl festivities, the Ministry of Health has prioritized food safety, aiming to prevent foodborne illnesses and safeguard public health. Environmental Health Officer M.O.H outlined critical food safety guidelines for vendors and food handlers, emphasizing temperature control, food separation, and stringent hygiene practices to ensure a safe and enjoyable event for all.
Ensure an adequate supply of cold holding and hot holding equipment to maintain proper temperatures throughout the event. Adequate hot holding equipment for the duration of the event, example stenos, cold pots, and warmers. Adequate cold holding for the duration of the event, example coolers, ice, and chillers. Provide separate ice for cooling of items and separate ice for serving drinks. Cold foods must be stored at a temperature below 40 degrees Fahrenheit or 5 degrees Celsius, while hot foods must maintain temperatures above 145 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 degrees Celsius. Such foods must not be stored at atmospheric temperature.
To stressed the importance of keeping hot foods hot and cold foods cold to avoid temperature abuse. Perishable foods must be transported and stored in containers that maintain the correct temperature to prevent spoilage. She also advised against preparing food too far in advance of consumption, recommending that food vendors exercise caution in food preparation to minimize health risks.
Provide separate grills for cooking meats and fish products, particularly shellfish. Raw and cooked or ready-to-eat foods must be kept separate to avoid cross-contamination, particularly when handling raw meats, chicken, and seafood. Use separate cutting boards and utensils for raw meats and ready-to-eat foods such as vegetables, fruits, or bread. Use separate utensils for different dishes, specifically when serving foods with a potential to cause allergic reactions, such as seafood or shellfish.
Additionally, vendors were urged to use separate utensils for different types of foods, especially for meats, poultry, and shellfish to avoid cross-contamination. The ministry also reminded the public and vendors to ensure all food on display is properly labeled, adequately covered, and stored off the ground to protect it from dust, pests, and other contaminants. Highlighted the need for good hygiene practices throughout the day's activities, especially among food handlers.
Before preparing foods, between handling raw foods and handling money, wash hands thoroughly with soap and water. Ensure proper hand hygiene is practiced and maintained throughout the activity. All food handlers must wear clean clothing and hair coverings when preparing, handling, and serving food. Waste bins must be adequately sized, easily accessible, and emptied regularly to prevent contamination.
The ministry urges the public to remain vigilant when purchasing and consuming food during the celebrations. As Jounen Kwéyòl draws near, the ministry calls for continuous adherence to these food safety guidelines to ensure a safe and healthy celebration for all. Collaboration with the local organizing committees will continue to monitor food safety practices throughout the festivities. Kayla Edwin, MBC Prime.